Picture this: you're dreaming of the perfect vacation, sipping cocktails by the pool while sailing to exotic destinations. Cruises seem like the ultimate escape from reality, right? But what if I told you that stepping onto that floating city might be one of the biggest mistakes you'll ever make? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the cruise industry's darkest secrets, and trust me, after watching this, you'll never look at those glossy brochures the same way again. Reason number 1. You're living under constant surveillance. Let's start with something that'll make your skin crawl. You're being watched every single second. Modern cruise ships aren't just floating hotels, they're floating surveillance states that would make Big Brother jealous. We're talking about over 3,000 cameras monitoring every corridor, every deck, it'd be every public space, and yes, even some areas you thought were private. That romantic balcony you paid extra for? There's a camera with a direct view. The secluded deck where you thought you could have a quiet moment? Monitored 24/7. But here's where it gets really creepy: facial recognition technology. These ships are now equipped with AI systems that can track your every movement, analyze your behavior patterns, and even predict what you might do next. They know when you wake up, where you eat, how much you drink, and who you talk to. It's like being in a floating prison where the guards wear cruise uniforms and smile while they watch you. The cruise industry calls it enhanced security, but let's call it what it really is: total invasion of privacy. Every cruise ship built in the last decade has more cameras per square foot than most maximum security prisons. We're talking about one camera for every 15 passengers, and that's just the ones they tell you about. Recent investigations have revealed that some cruise lines have been caught using these cameras for purposes far beyond security. Staff members have been fired for inappropriate surveillance of passengers, and there have been multiple lawsuits involving unauthorized recording in supposedly private areas. Your vacation photos might not be the only pictures being taken of you. Reason number 2. Your personal belongings are fair game. Think you can pack whatever you want for your vacation? Think again. Cruise ships have some of the most restrictive and bizarre baggage policies you've ever seen. Forget about bringing your favorite bottle of wine. That's confiscated. Want to pack some snacks for your kids? Better check the 47-page list of prohibited items first. But here's the kicker: they don't just restrict what you bring, they search through everything. Your luggage goes through more inspections than cargo at an international airport. Security personnel will go through your personal items, your medications, even your underwear, looking for anything they deem inappropriate. And if they find something they don't like, it's gone and you're not getting it back. Recent passengers have reported having perfectly legal items confiscated, including prescription medications, baby formula, and even religious items. One family had their child's inhaler taken away because it looked suspicious. Another passenger lost $300 worth of specialty dietary supplements that were perfectly legal but didn't meet the ship's arbitrary standards. Reason number 3. Unruly passengers are ruining everything. If you thought airplane passengers were bad, wait until you're trapped on a ship with them for a week. Cruise ship incidents involving unruly passengers have skyrocketed 400% in the past 3 years. We're talking about massive brawls in buffet lines, passengers throwing furniture off balconies, and people so intoxicated they're literally falling overboard. Just last month, a Royal Caribbean cruise had to make an emergency stop because passengers started a riot over lobster night. A Carnival cruise turned into a floating nightmare when a group of passengers decided to have a Fight Club tournament in the main atrium. And don't even get me started on the viral videos of passengers having complete meltdowns because the soft serve ice cream machine was broken. The worst part? You can't escape these people. You're stuck with them for days, sometimes weeks, and cruise security is often overwhelmed and undertrained to handle these situations properly. Reason number 4. Hidden fees will bankrupt you. That $299 cruise deal you saw advertised? That's just the beginning of your financial nightmare. By the time you're done, you'll have spent more money than a luxury resort vacation, and you'll have gotten a fraction of the value. Gratuities aren't optional. They're automatically added to your bill whether you want them or not. Internet access costs more per day than most people's monthly phone bills. Want to eat at a specialty restaurant? That'll be an extra $50 per person per meal. Drinks package? Another $80 per day. Laundry? $3 per sock. I'm not kidding. Recent passengers have reported final bills that were 3 times their original cruise fare. One family of 4 paid $1,200 for a budget cruise and ended up with a final bill of over $4,000. Another couple was charged $200 for using phone in their room to call the front desk, a call that lasted less than 2 minutes. Reason number 5. The food will make you sick. Cruise ship food poisoning outbreaks are so common that the CDC has a dedicated team just to track them. In the past year alone, over 50 cruise ships have reported norovirus outbreaks affecting thousands of passengers. But norovirus is just the tip of the iceberg. The buffets that cruise lines love to brag about are basically petri dishes for bacteria. Food sits out for hours in lukewarm conditions. Hundreds of people touch the same serving utensils, and the turnover of kitchen staff means food safety standards are inconsistent at best. Recent health inspections have found everything from rodent droppings in food storage areas to kitchen staff not washing their hands between handling raw meat and ready-to-eat foods. One cruise ship was found to be serving food that had been sitting out for over 12 hours, and another had a salmonella outbreak that affected 300 passengers. Reason number 6. Your room is smaller than a prison cell. Those beautiful stateroom photos in the brochures? They're shot with wide-angle lenses and carefully staged to make rooms look spacious. The reality is that most cruise ship cabins are smaller than the average prison cell, and I'm not exaggerating. The average interior cabin is 150 square feet. For comparison, a standard prison cell is 180 square feet. You'll be sharing this tiny space with another person or more, and you'll have about as much privacy as a goldfish in a bowl. The walls are paper thin, so you'll hear every conversation, every argument, and every intimate moment from your neighbors. Storage space is virtually non-existent. You'll be living out of a suitcase for the entire trip because there's nowhere to put your clothes. The bathroom is so small that you'll hit your elbows on the walls while trying to shower. And the toilet is positioned so close to the shower that you'll question the laws of physics. Reason number 7. You're trapped in a floating petri dish. Cruise ships are breeding grounds for every virus, bacteria, and infection known to mankind. When you pack 5,000 people into a confined space with recycled air and shared facilities, you're creating the perfect storm for disease transmission. COVID-19 was just the latest in a long line of cruise ship health disasters. Before that, we had norovirus outbreaks that would affect 20 to 30% of passengers on a single voyage. Legionnaire's disease has been found in cruise ship water systems. Respiratory infections spread like wildfire through the ventilation systems. Recent studies have shown that cruise ship air quality is often worse than major cities during smog alerts. The recycled air systems can't keep up with the number of people breathing, coughing, and sneezing in enclosed spaces. You're literally breathing the same air as thousands of strangers, many of whom are sick. Reason number 8. The staff are overworked and underpaid. The people serving your food, cleaning your room, and ensuring your safety are working 12 to 16-hour days, 7 days a week for months at a time. They're paid wages that would be illegal in most developed countries, and they're often treated poorly by both management and passengers. This isn't just a humanitarian issue, it's a safety issue. Exhausted, demoralized staff make mistakes. They cut corners on cleaning, food safety, and maintenance. Recent investigations have revealed that many cruise ship workers are so overworked that they're literally falling asleep on the job. One former cruise ship employee revealed that housekeeping staff are expected to clean 20 to 30 rooms per day, spending less than 15 minutes per room. Kitchen staff work 14-hour shifts without breaks. Security personnel are responsible for monitoring thousands of passengers with minimal training and support. Reason number 9. Environmental destruction on a massive scale. Cruise ships are environmental disasters floating on the ocean. A single large cruise ship produces as much pollution as 1 million cars. They dump thousands of gallons of sewage into the ocean daily, release toxic chemicals into the air, and contribute more to ocean pollution than entire cities. Recent environmental studies have shown that cruise ships are one of the most polluting forms of travel on the planet. They burn the dirtiest fuel available, release sulfur compounds that cause acid rain, and their waste disposal practices would be illegal if they were on land. The coral reefs and marine ecosystems that these ships visit are being destroyed by the very industry that profits from their beauty. Many popular cruise destinations are experiencing environmental collapse due to over-tourism and pollution from cruise ships. Reason number 10. Medical emergencies become life-threatening. When you have a medical emergency on land, you call 911 and get professional help within minutes. On a cruise ship, you're at the mercy of a small medical facility with limited equipment and staff who may not be qualified to handle serious emergencies. Cruise ship medical centers are not hospitals. They're more like urgent care clinics, and they're not equipped to handle heart attacks, strokes, or serious injuries. If you need real medical attention, the ship has to either helicopter you off, weather permitting, or divert to the nearest port, which could be days away. Recent incidents include passengers dying from treatable conditions because the ship's medical facility wasn't equipped to help them. One passenger had a heart attack and died because the ship's defibrillator wasn't working properly. Another passenger with diabetes went into a coma because the medical staff didn't have the proper equipment to monitor blood sugar levels. Reason number 11. You're stuck with the same people for days. Imagine being trapped in an elevator with strangers for a week. That's essentially what a cruise is. You can't escape the loud family at the pool, the drunk guy at the bar, or the couple having relationship drama in the cabin next to yours. Social dynamics on cruise ships can become toxic quickly. Cliques form, conflicts escalate, and there's nowhere to go to get away from people you don't like. Recent passengers have reported everything from harassment and bullying to full-blown feuds that lasted the entire voyage. The confined space and forced social interaction can bring out the worst in people. Alcohol flows freely, inhibitions are lowered, and conflicts that would normally be minor become major issues when you can't escape them. Reason number 12. Weather can turn your dream into a nightmare. When bad weather hits a cruise ship, you're not just dealing with inconvenience, you're dealing with potential disaster. Ships get tossed around like toys in rough seas, and passengers get seriously injured from being thrown around. Recent cruises have experienced 30-foot waves that sent furniture flying, broke bones, and caused mass seasickness that affected 80% of passengers. One cruise ship had to be evacuated by helicopter because the weather was so severe that the ship was taking on water. Even mild weather can ruin your vacation. Rain means you're trapped indoors with thousands of other people. High winds mean outdoor activities are canceled. Rough seas mean you'll spend your vacation feeling nauseous and holding onto railings. Reason number 13. Ports of call are tourist traps. Those exotic destinations you're excited to visit? You'll get about 4 to 6 hours to see them, and you'll be herded around like cattle with thousands of other cruise passengers. The ports are designed to extract as much money as possible from tourists in the shortest amount of time. You won't experience authentic local culture. You'll experience a sanitized, commercialized version designed for mass tourism. The shops sell the same cheap souvenirs, the restaurants serve watered-down versions of local cuisine, and the cultural experiences are performed by actors, not locals. Recent passengers have reported being pressured into expensive shore excursions that were poorly organized and overpriced. One family paid $200 per person for a cultural tour that turned out to be a 30-minute bus ride to a gift shop. Reason number 14. Safety standards are questionable. Cruise ships operate under maritime law, which means they're not subject to the same safety regulations as hotels or other vacation accommodations on land. Safety inspections are infrequent, and when violations are found, the penalties are often minimal. Recent safety incidents include fires that weren't properly contained, lifeboats that didn't work, and evacuation procedures that were chaotic and dangerous. One cruise ship had a fire in the engine room that left passengers without power for 3 days. Another ship had to be towed to port because the steering system failed. The crew-to-passenger ratio on most cruise ships means that in an emergency, there simply aren't enough trained personnel to help everyone. Recent drills have shown that evacuation procedures are confusing, poorly communicated, and would likely result in panic and injuries in a real emergency. Reason number 15. You're supporting an industry that exploits everyone. The cruise industry has a long history of exploiting workers, avoiding taxes, and skirting regulations by registering ships in countries with lax laws. Most cruise ships are registered in places like Panama or Liberia to avoid paying taxes and following labor laws. The industry profits from cheap labor, environmental destruction, and regulatory loopholes while marketing itself as a fun, family-friendly vacation option. Recent investigations have revealed widespread labor violations, environmental crimes, and tax avoidance schemes that cost governments billions in lost revenue. When you buy a cruise ticket, you're supporting an industry that puts profits over people, environment, and safety. There are better ways to vacation that don't involve supporting these practices. So there you have it, 15 compelling reasons why cruises might not be the dream vacation they're marketed to be. From constant surveillance and hidden fees to health risk and environmental destruction, the reality of cruise travel is far different from those glossy advertisements. Before you book your next vacation, consider whether you really want to support an industry with these practices, or if there might be better ways to explore the world and create lasting memories.